Hello and welcome to the August 17th, 2025 episode of Nick's News. I am your host, Nick, brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, we are putting money into this project of ours. I thank you so much for tuning in or catching the replay on our YouTube page. And we're live every Sunday, which is fantastic. This is a program dedicated to bringing good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis with the hope of bringing a little bit of joy back to the world. Several of our articles are pulled from sites like goodnewsnetwork.org and goodgoodgood.co, but we appreciate everything sent in by you, the Nick's Newsies. I just saw the chat explode. Oh my gosh. Hi Charlie, hey Nico. Hello Dirty Rogue. Very cool. Happy to have everybody with us tonight, all of the Nick's Newsies. Let's get into our news brew. Now, we try to take our news brew in brand new directions. We try to mix it up a bit. And you can't really mix it up any more than getting foreign. So, given my brutal level of Italianism, we are going to go with Lagerdale. It's a beautiful can. We're going to get the camera to zoom in on that. Come on. So, Lagerdale. There we go. I absolutely love the birds on this. Lagerdale is a 4.7% ABV dry-hopped Italian Pilsner that is from Ferndale Project. It's a microbrewery project in Ferndale, Michigan that just cranks out different styles of beer. So my dad picked me up this one from Siciliano's, I believe, and we are going to give it a try. We have the very bizarre subtle glass. Again, this one is specifically designed somehow for lagers like this. Hey, Becky. Now, we haven't had a bottle on the episode in a while. I haven't had to use the Balisong bottle opener. It's been sitting here unused, like collecting dust. But once again, we don't have a bottle, so we're going to crack open this can and blow the gain on the audio. And we'll get into the theatrics of a 40-minute pour because I don't need all this gas inside me. Very crisp, Dirty Rogue said. Lot of carbonation in this. And I don't want any of this in me, so I'm going to get it all out in a straight pour. I know it's sacrilege, it's heathenistic, but I mean, look at this thing. Look how much head there is on that. The color of it is like straw yellow. I had a lager this weekend when I was hanging out with some folks, and one of my friends looked at the lager I was having and commented on it that it was just pisswasser. So, just straight up piss water yellow. Charlie says it's pretty. Maybe that's about the can, because the can is definitely pretty. The beer is definitely a lighter shade than what I would like to put in my body. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. Shoutouts. These beautiful summer days are going to start winding down. It is a lovely time to get out of the house and enjoy the warm days before we move into fall. Fox and Hen Winery is the place to be for fine wine and cider, or it's got a beautiful setting and it is a delightful company. Fox and Hen is located between downtown Grand Haven and Allendale, Michigan. They specialize in small batch wines and ciders that reflect the Lake Michigan climate. Check them out Fridays and Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I think this Friday I'm going to make an appearance from 5 to 7. So if you want to have some fine wine or a glass of cider with me, by all means, swing on by on Friday between 5 and 7 p.m. To Fox and Hen Winery. Cheers. Charlie says, I heard the Boston accent on that the pisswada comment. Yeah, there's certain words where I'll start to dive into the Boston. Wow, this is super crisp and very interesting. The dry hopping, so lagers don't have a lot of character. Lagers are just crushable beers, really. The dry hopping has definitely added a little bit more kind of like floral stuff going on and maybe a tiny bit of citrus to it. So it's an interesting mix. And anytime I've had an Italian Pilsner or an Italian lager, yeah, this is a dry hopped Italian Pilsner. Did I write that right in the news brew? I might have to check that. Yeah, I did write it. Dry hopped Italian Pilsner. So dry hopping is secondary when you get your beer in secondary and you are adding hops to it in secondary, basically. Basically, it's going to add different notes to it. It's going to add different stuff to the nose, to the smell of the beer, maybe adjust the flavor a tiny bit, but mostly dry hopping is to really get some different, a different nose to a beer. Charlie says, Gods, I have been craving Yingling. I should have brought some back. This is probably the first time I've gone out of state and I haven't picked up a case of Yingling to bring back. But actually, if I think about it, I think I have a case downstairs, so it's just got to get drank. All right, second shout out, and this is a huge one to all of you. Nick's Newsies, we did it. We have hit 100 subscribers on YouTube, and I cannot thank you all enough. I thank you all so very much for everything that you've done, every interaction, every like, every comment, every subscription to our YouTube page that, you know, we just started like this year. All that interaction is really helping to continue to drive Nick's News' growth and spread our Hope Core content out into the algorithm. I am over the moon when I saw it a couple days ago that we'd hit 100. I don't know how much of that is spam bots because, you know, some of it is, but I'm hoping it's like the bare minimum. And again, I can't thank you all enough. To all of you that have managed to get us to the 100 subscriber mark, just through your interactions with us and word of mouth and everything, to all the Nick's Newsies, cheers. Now let's get to the next 100, and then we just keep going. News quote: Happiness often sneaks in through a door you don't know you left open. This quote comes from John Sidney Blythe, known as John Barrymore, who lived from 1882 to 1942 and was an American actor on stage, screen, and radio, and a member of the Drew and Barrymore theatrical families. If you know the actress Drew Barrymore, she is also part of that. I believe she is the great-granddaughter to John Barrymore. And I really love that quote. Thank you very much, Becky, for sharing us. For sharing us. Thank you. I really love that quote because happiness can come from all sorts of things. Nobody can really make happiness, but they can bring happiness. Different things can bring happiness, and sometimes happiness is going to come from very unexpected places. But what that means is happiness often sneaks in through a door you didn't know you left open. Hi, Athena. So, to John Barrymore, for that quote about happiness sneaking in through a door you didn't know you left open. Cheers. Bug update. Elmira's terraforming seems to have finally come to an end, or at least a pause. It's on temporary halt. Maybe she got a red tag for something she did. I don't know. It's an absolute nightmare in there. It's like a bomb went off. I will have some before and after images from my trip of what her home has become. It is just gone. It is craters. And a crazy mushroom grew in one of the corners, I think from just all of the material she's been bulldozing. Ripley is scuttling around happily and dealt with me being gone with no problems, it seems. And Sue is as ornery as ever, just hiding in his hide, hiding in his burrow. But, you know, I think that's just the mode that he's in now. Keep an eye out on that third tank. So we've got Elmira, we've got Ripley. There we go. And then this tank right here is Sue. Now, it's a little cloudy in there right now because of the temperature and the humidity that I have them cranked up to. Just trying to simulate, the middle of summer and a very high humidity. So keep an eye out, and we'll see if he comes scuttling out. He's huge, so he'll be noticeable. And if you see him, just shout Sue or post the scorpion emoji in the chat. Can someone type that quote out here? I think producer Donna is about to grab it for you, Athena. So for the bug update too, I actually kept... So I used to have a super colony of Madagascar hissing cockroaches, and I was using them as food sources for some of the other bugs. But they tend to overpopulate quickly, and it's difficult to keep them in check, and then I don't like having them being in poor living conditions because they overpopulate. So I have 3 survivors left from that super colony, and I am caring for them, and they are in the very far tank. I will get some pictures of them. They got a little bigger while I was gone. So if you're into the roaches, just keep an eye out on their Instagram. You'll see some pictures of Elmira's home, maybe some Ripley photos, hopefully a Sue photo if I can catch one of him, and the Survivor Trio, as I have dubbed them. All right, let's get into our good news broadcast, which is broken up into 4 major categories. Those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and lastly, wholesome notes, the really nice articles we like to end on. We have 7 articles tonight, 2 of which are going to be in wholesome notes, 2 in flora and fauna, 2 in health and medicine, and 1 in science and technology. So let's get going with category 1, science and technology. And we called this one, Canada is finally doing space things, eh? I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Canada's first commercial spaceport is officially under construction. When will it open for launches? This was published to space.com on, when was this published? On August 15th of 2025 by Josh Dinner. Private Canadian company Nord Space has started construction on its Atlantic Spaceport Complex, or ASX, in Newfoundland and Labrador, marking a major milestone toward the country's first operational commercial launch facility. The budding infrastructure near the town of St. Lawrence will support Nord Space's Tundra orbital rocket and the upcoming first test flight of the company's suborbital Taiga vehicle. Other launch providers who want to use the spaceport are welcome as well. Nord Space says, the facility is strategically positioned. You're supposed to be on silent. Sorry about that. Other launch providers who want to use the spaceport are welcome as well, Nord Space says. The facility is strategically positioned, according to a Nord Space press release, to launch missions into orbital inclinations between 46 to 100 degrees, inclinations capable of serving equatorial to polar orbits. Becky goes, Canada in space! Nord Space CEO Rahul Goel said the groundbreaking was a historic moment for Canada and a step towards its sovereign space access. ASX, previously known as Spaceport Canada, is designed as a cornerstone of Nord Space's end-to-end mission capability, as it was fully sourced and built from within Canada. The company's rockets currently in development are assembled using parts sourced from around the country, as well as in-house 3D printed rocket engines. What? Okay. Julie throws in, it will have an ice rink and serve Molson beer. Good one, Julie. I'll drink to that burn. The introductory $10 million phase of development for the site includes 2 facilities: Space Launch Complex 01, or SLC-01, which will have 2 pads for orbital rockets like Nordspace's future Taiga vehicle, and SLC-2 will support suborbital flights and tracking infrastructure for space domain awareness, the release says. ASX's position at 46 degrees latitude enables a wide range of launch inclinations, giving it an edge over the North American spaceports that avoid certain trajectories due to safety regulations over populated areas. Nordspace's first launch will be of its suborbital Taiga rocket, powered by the company's 3D-printed Hadfield Mark III engine. The mission, dubbed Getting Screeched In, follows a successful test series of the engine and vehicle shakedowns completed earlier this year, including a fully integrated vehicle test that took place in January, and a month-long engine qualification that fell in July. The official launch window for Getting Screeched In opens on August 25th, so not all that long from now, though it's unknown when the mission will be ready. Nordspace is taking a realistic approach for Taiga's debut, and won't be aiming for orbit on its first mission. Smart move. Our first flight of that vehicle this summer is going to be a low-altitude demonstration, Goal told Space.com. The intent behind that is just to make sure it all goes really well and we get this win under our belts, he added. Then we'll attempt the second flight, early next year, to demonstrate its full capability. After Taiga, Nordspace plans to look toward its Tundra orbital launch vehicle, that's still under development. Tundra will be comparable in capability to Rocket Lab's Electron rocket, which is able to launch 1,100 pounds, or 500 kilograms, to low Earth orbit and 550 pounds, or about 250 kilograms, to Sun-synchronous orbit. Part of Tundra's development includes Nordspace's first satellite, the Terra Nova, which is launching in 2026 on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rideshare mission to test in-space propulsion and imaging technologies. Nordspace is eyeing 2027 for Tundra's first mission. This is really exciting, to be honest. Anytime you hear about a country that hasn't really sent all that much stuff into space, like gearing up as much as this is, you can't help but get a little excited for them. I mean, I know it's Canada, but come on. Right? ASX will also support Nordspace's SHARP, Supersonic and Hypersonic Applications Research Platform initiative, which includes 3 hypersonic research vehicles designed for national defense applications. Nordspace says it's time to end reliance on foreign rockets to launch Canadian-built space hardware, and Canadian officials have voiced strong support for the company's efforts. Julie followed that up with Poutine in space. That's solid. Nordspace estimates the introduction of domestic launch capability will create nearly 650 jobs and contribute $2.5 billion in economic activity through 2035. That is really cool. To Nordspace in Canada for getting ready to set up an amazing pair of launch facilities for orbital and suborbital vehicles for their space program. Cheers. Yathena said, I mean, we're basically Canada Light here in Michigan. Okay. Dirty Rogue. The gravy has to be hot to melt the cheese curds. Space is cold. It will be a disaster. Oh, Producer Donna, this is everything I hoped it would be. I don't have to make the jokes. The Knicks newsies definitely will. While the Knicks newsies continue to obliterate Canada, I will jump us into Category 2, Health and Medicine. Becky even chimed in, unless we have to ship to Canada, then we are still not Canada, right, Donna? All right, we've got 2 articles here in Health and Medicine, and this first one is Cancer. Fuck cancer. I'll copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. I just know producer Donna's going to find me some articles with some absolutely horrendous pronunciation so that she can watch me suffer while reading it. Like, it's coming. The payback will be coming. Or we're going to do like 20 million takes on a TikTok. Producer Donna says, well, we're considering taking California, Oregon, and Washington. I'll ask around and see if we want Michigan too. Oh, jeez. All right. Experimental off-the-shelf cancer vaccine is already prolonging lives, study suggests. This was published to Gizmodo.com on August 12th of 2025 by Ed Cara. Daku Yoru says, speaking of TikTok, I can hear your clock still. Do you mean the ticker clock at the beginning? Wait, producer Donna just said, would this be a good time to tell you your cam is borked? Is the camera doing something weird? What's the camera doing? It looks okay on my end. Is somebody how do I look on the camera? Daku says, my body and state is ready for Daddy Canada. Julie said, please take us, Donna. You're fuzzy but acceptable. Really? I'm coming in fuzzy? Huh. I wonder if it's because things got screwed up because of the storm. Oh, you can hear a wall clock. Oh, that's my... Huh. It's interesting. I don't hear it going right now. I've got a wall clock right up here. Maybe I'll have to take the wall clock out when I'm... Oh my gosh, it is going. I just couldn't hear it because I hear it all the time, and I just tone it out. Wow. I've always been able to hear it, but no worries. It's... Just a moment. I won't lie. I love that butcher block wall clock. I did not realize it gets picked up in the camera. How do I look now? Am I still fuzzy? Could be worse. Could be drums. How am I looking? Do I gotta wipe the camera? Looking good. Okay. All right. I'm getting a lot of confirmations that I look all right, so we'll keep going. Thank you all for the intermission. Thank you all for bearing with us as we, you're still fuzzy. And our next article is, does the beard count as fuzzy, says Charlie. All right, let's get into the article. We'll see if we can futz with the camera and figure out what's going on later. An experimental off-the-shelf vaccine for recurring pancreatic and colorectal cancer is showing great promise so far. Early results show that the vaccine appears to be safe and is potentially prolonging people's lives. Researchers at the University of California, Los Angeles, the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York, and elsewhere are developing the vaccine, called ELI-002. In Phase 1 trial data released this week, or the week that the article came out, people who received ELI-002, we're just going to call it ELI-002. So, people who received ELI-002 often developed an immune response to a specific type of cancer-linked mutation and lived longer than expected. The team has since launched a larger Phase 2 trial of the vaccine platform. If the result can be confirmed in large randomized clinical trials, this could be utilized in 90% of pancreatic cancers and 50% of colon cancers who have this mutation, lead study author Zev Weinberg, co-director of the Gastrointestinal Oncology Program at UCLA, told Gizmodo. Cancer vaccines are generally therapeutic, designed to improve our body's natural ability to stop cancer from returning. LE002 is a peptide-based vaccine that tries to train our immune system's T cells to go after cells containing a mutated KRAS gene, or KRAS gene. KRAS mutations often fuel the growth of cancerous cells, and they're commonly found in many solid tumor cancers, up to about 25% of them, particularly pancreatic and colorectal cancers. Unlike vaccines that have to be tuned to a person's specific cancer, LE002 is intended to work against a majority of KRAS-containing cancers right from the get-go. In the latest trial, the researchers tested out a version of LE002, which was called LE002-2P, on 25 patients, 20 with pancreatic cancer and 5 with colorectal cancer. Julie saying, we look good, look clear on the Chromecast onto their TV. Cool, if I look good enough for TV. I was told I have a voice for radio. The patients had undergone standard treatment but continued to have residual cancer cells lingering in their blood, raising the risk of a future recurrence. All were given 6 doses of LE002, aimed at their lymph nodes, while half received booster shots as well. About 85% of people... Really? Let me turn that down. About 85% of people generated an immune response to the 2 mutated KRAS proteins targeted by the vaccine, with 2/3 having a strong response. 67% of people also developed an immune response to other KRAS proteins, suggesting the vaccine further amplified their immunity to these mutations. That is really riveting. Overall, people with pancreatic cancer vaccinated with ELI002-2P survived for 29 months and lived free of cancer recurrence for 15 months on average, better than the average survival and recurrence-free length historically seen with similar cases, according to the researchers. Yours is KRAS, aptly named. Yes, it is. And those with the strongest immune responses fared even better. The team's findings were published Monday of that week in the Nature Medicine journal. Phase 1 trials aren't intended to conclusively show that an experimental drug or vaccine works, so the findings should still be viewed with some caution until more data is collected. But it certainly looks like we are on the verge of a breakthrough with cancer vaccines. Several candidates have shown similarly encouraging results in human trials, and the first of these newest vaccines could reach the public within the next few years. For their part, Weinberg and his colleagues have already completed enrollment of a Phase 2 trial for LE002, with results expected in 2026. This trial will test an updated version of the vaccine, named LE0027P, that will hopefully cover an even broader range of KRAS mutations. Very cool. To everybody involved at... oh my gosh, there was quite the list. Let me find it again. The University of California, Los Angeles, the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York, and everyone else developing a vaccine that can help your immune system fight KRAS mutations, which specifically show up in pancreatic and colorectal cancer. Cheers. Oh, I just saw it. I just saw the camera do something there. That was interesting. Oh, the camera's constantly zooming in and out. I was looking at this door and the camera was like constantly refocusing. Something's up with the camera. I'm going to have to play with the camera settings again. Huh. I'll get to it after this episode. Okay. Second article that we have in Health and Medicine, we couldn't come up with any good puns for this one. Greg Ethan says, Nick, how could you not be there on my last day of work? I am so sorry. I was going to message you tomorrow. I was just going to try to get through the rest of my weekend, and I was going to message you tomorrow, and I was going to apologize. So the person behind the name Gregory DeMon was a co-worker of mine, and his last day with our company until hopefully he comes back was Friday, and I was out of town from like Tuesday to earlier today. So I did not get a chance to be there for their last day. Ethan, I apologize. I'm so sorry. Daku Yor says, Punisher at your service. I'm going to copy this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Sorry, this is my dad's account. That's good. Toothpaste made from hair works better than fluoride, scientists say. This was published to Gizmodo.com as well on August 16th of 2025 by Natalia Mesa. Looking for an effective, sustainable toothpaste? It might be on the top of your head. Scientists have discovered that keratin, a protein found in hair, skin, and wool, can repair tooth enamel and stop tooth decay. It might also protect teeth even better than conventional fluoride-based toothpastes, stopping tooth decay in its tracks according to a new study. When keratin comes into contact with saliva, it forms a protective coating that mimics natural enamel, the study showed. Not only can it shield teeth from further damage, but it may also help repair enamel, something that traditional toothpastes just can't do. Julie said, minty fresh and good for shiny hair too. The findings are published in Advanced Healthcare Materials. Link is in the article. Keratin offers a transformative alternative to current dental treatments. Not only is it sustainably sourced from biological waste materials like hair and skin, it also eliminates the need for traditional plastic resins, commonly used in restorative dentistry, which are toxic and less durable. Sarah Gamia, a graduate student at King's College London and first author of the study, said in a statement, "Tooth enamel wears away with age, leading to tooth sensitivity and eventually a need for dentures. This process is hastened by acidic foods and poor oral hygiene. And once enamel is gone, it's gone. Fluoride toothpaste can slow this process, but not stop it. What can? Keratin, apparently. The protein forms a dense crystal-like scaffold that mimics the structure, color, and function of actual enamel, the new study found." Daku Yor said, sustainable teeth treatments made from hair can't be brushed off. Oh my gosh. That's pretty solid. Over time, the scaffold continues to attract calcium and phosphate ions, leading to the growth of an enamel-like coating on the teeth. That means keratin-based toothpaste could potentially repair lost keratin and seal exposed nerves, reversing the symptoms of enamel erosion. The study, where'd I go? There we go. The study authors used keratin extracted from wool in their study, but said it could also be extracted from other sources, including human hair. This is a huge step for regenerative dentistry, the researchers say. It's also good for the environment, providing a biodegradable alternative to conventional toothpastes. And happily, consumers might not have to wait long to purchase a keratin-based toothpaste. The researchers say it could hit the market in the next 2 to 3 years. We are entering an exciting era where biotechnology allows us not just treat symptoms, but restore biological functions using the body's own materials. With further development and the right industry partnerships, we may soon be growing stronger, healthier smiles from something as simple as a haircut. Sheriff El-Shrakawi, the study's lead author and consultant in prosthodontics at King's College London, said in a statement. That is fascinating, and I won't lie, I'll give it a try. I really will. I've got a pretty good smile, but I'll try out a non-fluoride toothpaste. Julie says, 4 out of 5 dentists and hairdressers approved. Becky says, biotechnology for your smile. Dakuyoru, biomimicry is the subject I would have studied if I went into biology chemistry. That would have been cool. So, to everybody involved with producing a new type of toothpaste at King's College London that has the potential to help your teeth regrow an enamel-like substance that can keep them protected for longer, cheers. Okay, that's going to get us out of health and medicine. We are going to jump into category 3, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals. And we have our first article in here we called All the Buzz and Barks. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Former canine Maple is busy as a bee sniffing out threats to Michigan State University colonies. This was posted to published to sfgate.com on August 11th of 2025 by Mike Householder. With the Associated Press. Nice. Researchers at a Michigan State University facility dedicated to protecting honeybees are enlisting a four-legged ally to sniff out danger to the prized pollinators. The Pollinator Performance Center's wide range of projects includes developing a training program for dogs to use their sensitive noses to uncover a bacterial disease called American foul brood that threatens honeybee larvae. Bees and other pollinators have been declining for years because of the disease, insecticides, climate change, and a lack of diverse food supply. A considerable portion of the human diet comes from plants that are pollinated by bees. Maple, who once served as a human remains detection dog for the St. Joseph County Sheriff's Office, has created quite the buzz. The panting 9-year-old English Springer Spaniel stood patiently on a recent weekday as Sue Stejkal, her longtime owner, trainer, and handler, slowly placed the retired canine in a yellow protective suit. The garment includes a veil for her head and 4 booties worn on her paws in case Maple steps on a bee. Much like with humans, we recognize that if a dog is going to be in an active bee yard, they need to wear the same personal protective equipment as people do, said Stejkal, a Michigan State graduate who has been training dogs over a quarter-century for law enforcement and other uses. You can't buy them on Amazon for dogs, so there's been some altering and testing. Dakuyor says, best girl. Maple suffered an injury while on a case in Ontario, forcing her to retire as a detection canine in 2024, but fate intervened. Megan Milbrath, an MSU professor whose lab studies risk factors that affect honeybees' health, was working to establish diagnostic and screening tools for honeybee diseases. A veterinarian who participated in a training about honeybees put Milbrath in touch with Stejkal. They met and the dog detection plan was born. Stejkal then set about teaching an old dog a new trick. New to Maple, anyway. Maryland's Agriculture Department has also used canine detection methods in beehives. Michigan State's objective is to train many more dogs to join the ranks. Milbrath said she is documenting Maple's training and plans to write a book with Stejkal to educate other teams about their strategy. Maple, clad in her yellow suit, raced between hive boxes during a recent demonstration. When she found the scent clue left for her, Maple stopped at the box and coolly looked up at Stejkal. Good girl, yes, Stejkal enthusiastically said before removing Maple's veil and tossing a green Michigan State branded toy her way. Stejkal recognizes the work they're doing is important. It's a cool project, Stejkal said, but I was over the moon excited because my dog would still have joy in her life and would still be able to work. That is really cool. To Maple, the former canine remains detection dog, now getting a new job smelling out disease in beehives for Michigan State and to their program. Cheers. She really is bestest girl. Okay, this next one is super cute. And producer Donna was practically screaming at me that we had to do this one. So I hope you are up to date on your insulin, because this article's really sweet. We called it Small Otter Makes a Big Splash. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Ah, yes, this is also going to be really like this is a Julie coded article for sure. Splash the Otter is training for underwater search and rescue. This was published to Popular Science on August 15th of 2025 by Andrew Paul. And the tagline is Law and Otter. Law and Otter has debuted in Florida. A Florida search and rescue provider is training a new non-human team member, but the animal isn't what you might immediately imagine. Instead of yet another dog, the team hopes an otter may soon help to pick up trails when they extend into murky waters. Canines have remained law enforcement's preferred search and rescue animal partners for decades, but they still have their limitations. Investigations such as boating accidents that lead authorities underwater remain a major barrier. A dog's scent trail basically ends at the riverbank or the lakeshore, but that's not necessarily the case for otters. I thought, why can't we train an otter to do this kind of work? Mike Hadsel at Peace River Canine Search and Rescue recently told Tampa's local news outlet WTSP. Julie says, Law and Otter Splashy Division. Dun dun! Hadsel pointed his idea online and was eventually approached by a zoo owner in Arizona about a possible otter. Around 14 months ago, Peace River received their Asian small-clawed otter, Aonyx cinereus, named Splash. Then it was time for Splash's training regimen to begin. Human bodies emit somewhere over 500 volatile organic compounds. The scent really never leaves, explained Hadsel. Julie just called it a water puppy. Becky says he is adorable. Otters are mammals that clearly don't breathe underwater, but they do taste. To hone his searching abilities, Hadsel and colleagues fill 3 child swimming pools with water, then hide human scent samples in one of them. Splash then proceeds to live up to his name by scouring the pools, making a lot of bubbles in the process. You'll see all these bubbles coming out, and he's sucking some of those bubbles back in, and he's tasting them. The odor attaches itself to the bubble, and then he tastes it when it comes into his mouth, said Hadsel. And so that's how he does it. When he finds something, he comes back and he grabs my mask. Oh my gosh. Julie says he is utterly adorable. Splash is already garnering interest from agencies around the country. Not the county, the country. Hadsel says he's already received search requests from FBI offices and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. But in the Sunshine State, each aquatic excursion poses its own hazards that don't exist in the Peace River kiddie pools. The danger we worry about Splash here is the alligators, said Hadsel. For both of us, it's dangerous. I have bumped into alligators. The search and rescue team takes extra precautions whenever Splash is with them to keep him safe. He's always tethered to a line, while both human spotters and sonar equipment continuously track his movements. Like traditional canine units, Splash's reward for a job well done is his favorite snack, salmon. Although he may be the only search and rescue otter in the industry, Hadsel thinks that Splash will be far from the last one. I expect to see a lot of otters out there. I think they'll be standard issue probably in 10 years from now. Can you imagine getting your standard issue otter? Yep, here's your badge, here's your gun, and here's your otter. I think they'll be standard issue probably in 10 years from now, he predicted. Since his deployment, Splash has 3 finds to his name. He is operational and still developing, Hadsel told Popular Science. So far, the project looks promising and will continue to move forward. That is adorable. To Mike Hadsel at Peace River Canine Search and Rescue for just thinking outside the box one day and wondering if otters can be used for search and rescue, and to Splash, the otter, who has already found 3 things that such an otter needed to find. Cheers. And producer Donna, of course, see, I told you had to read it. Dirty Rogue says Special Agent Splash. Julie wants a standard issue otter. Alright, that's going to get us out of Flora and Fauna. We are going to move on to Category 4, the Wholesome Notes. And we've got 2 articles in here for you tonight. Hey, Riley. Love the otter content. Thank you. We had another otter article. Maybe we'll push it off to next week so we can keep talking about articles. Or otters, not articles. Man, I had a long weekend. Alright. So, into the Wholesome Notes, we called this first one Angels and Warriors. And I am going to copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Charlie says, I am in desperate need of an otter companion. All right. Wolf Dog Sanctuary helps veterans with PTSD heal in non-traditional therapy program. This was published at goodgoodgood.co on August 15th of 2025 by Megan Cook. Some dogs, such as Huskies, Malamutes, and German Shepherds, resemble their wolfish ancestors more closely than their Corgi counterparts. But wolf dogs are another animal entirely. Due to crossbreeding that largely dates back to the 1960s and 70s, they have a wolf ancestry that is much more recent. Typically, to be considered a wolf dog, an animal will have a minimum of 20% wolf heritage and can have up to the legal maximum of 98% wolf heritage. The Texas Wolf Dog Project, an animal sanctuary based in Montgomery, Texas, explains on its website. According to the Texas Wolf Dog Project, there's a vast range of behavioral traits that wolf dogs exhibit, which fluctuate based on the content of their wolf genes. But overall, they tend to be more sensitive and destructive than the average house pet, and they require more room to roam. Charlie now wants a wolf. Julie also wants a wolf too. The sanctuary is just one of many across the country that rescue abused and abandoned wolf dogs and ensure that they're given proper care. In fact, 1,200 miles north of the Texas Wolf Dog Project, in Gleason, Wisconsin, another refuge has found a way to help wolf dogs thrive, all while helping veterans too. It's through an innovative program called Apex Angels and Warriors. We bring in veterans who have PTSD and any other sort of mental health issues, and we are a non-traditional type of therapy for them, founder Michelle Last told WJFW, a Wisconsin news outlet. Since 2022, the sanctuary, which doubles as a nonprofit, has been serving local veterans by organizing play dates with their pack, which now consists of more than 30 wolf dogs. Last's mother and father both served in the Vietnam War. She opened up about losing her father to suicide after his battle with post-traumatic stress disorder. I made it my mission to help veterans, Last said. I didn't want people to end up like my dad with no other option. One of those veterans is Jeff Young, an Army veteran who served 2 tours in Afghanistan. When I first got back, I had a hard time readjusting, went down some bad roads that I shouldn't have been down, Young explained. Young recalls meeting Last at a veterans coffee event when she came in to promote her first of its kind program. At first, he was wary of the idea of spending time with wolf dogs. Then he met them, and he felt himself change for the better. The wolf dogs and veterans have both been through trauma, reads a mission statement on the nonprofit's Facebook page. And they help heal each other with patience, understanding, trust, and love. Young's journey is a testament to that. When these wolf dogs click to someone, that's their go-to person. They will scent roll all over you. They just go nuts for that one person," he said. "People will say sometimes we're crazy or sometimes we're unpredictable or this and that," said Yunk, who now volunteers at the sanctuary. "Sit down with a veteran," Yunk urged. "We're not that bad, and neither are these dogs." Plenty of pictures, images, video, and links to this program, to Apex Angels and Warriors, connecting abused and abandoned wolf dogs with perhaps some of the most abused and abandoned people are veterans suffering from PTSD and other ailments from their time. Cheers. I really like that one. But here's our last article of the night, and we called it "We All Lift Together." And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Nicholas Sims says, "My name is Nick also. Is this a good news channel?" I'd hope it's a good news channel. Welcome to Nick's News. Need some positivity in this world. That's what we strive to bring. So here we go, our last article of the night. Hope you enjoy this, Nicholas Sims. Rugby team carries wheelchair-bound dad up Snowdon Peak, fulfilling his lifelong dream. This was published at goodnewsnetwork.org on August 12th of 2025 by Good News Network. They're not crediting one of their writers. Becky says, "Many hands make light work." This is the touching moment a rugby team carried a wheelchair-bound dad to the summit of Snowdon, helping to fulfill his lifelong dream. Members of Bangor Rugby Club helped Phil Thompson to the Welsh Mountains' 3,650-foot peak earlier this month. The 66-year-old has always wanted to reach the top of Snowdon, but thought it would be impossible after a motorbike accident at 19. Phil's 29-year-old son, Sam Thompson, plays for Bangor, and when Mark Owen on the team heard about the dream, he knew he could make it happen. The club had already been planning a fundraising trip up Snowdon, aka WIDFA, so this tied in perfectly. It wasn't what we'd initially planned, but it ended up being the perfect addition to our fundraiser, said Mark from Bangor in northeast Wales. Bangor Rugby Club is very community focused, and Phil hasn't missed a game in over a year, come rain or shine. So when I heard that reaching the Snowdon summit had always been a dream of Phil's, it felt only right to help him get there, the 41-year-old told SWNS News Agency. Mark began planning the fundraiser in early May, after hearing that some of their funding had been cut by the Welsh Rugby Union. As an active member of the Bangor Rugby Club, he wanted to ensure they'd be able to keep offering their youth activities. "When we heard the WRU were cutting our funding, we weren't necessarily surprised," recalled Mark. "That's why I thought we should do something ourselves. I'd initially thought we'd climb Snowdon carrying tackle bags, which most people were on board for. Then Sam mentioned to me about his dad and how he'd always wanted to summit Snowdon. Phil had an unfortunate motorcycle accident when he was 19 and has been in a wheelchair ever since." Mark said, "Hearing this part of the story made me really want to help, and it fit perfectly with what the fundraiser should represent. It was a no-brainer that we wanted to include him. It was just about how we could do it." Mark had initially talked with Snowdonia Park to organize an electric wheelchair to take Phil from Camp Llanberis to the summit. But just days before the event, they learned the wheelchair could only be used on another route, and only go partway up. So they decided to see if they could get a frame so they could carry Phil in the chair. It was just 3 days before the climb, so we were all a bit panicked. Luckily, we found an amazing welding company, ProWeld in Carnarvon, who sorted us a frame for free within the allotted time. Great job to them. The last-minute save meant the whole fundraiser was actually able to go ahead. On the day of the climb, everyone met at the club premises at 5 a.m. and set off. The majority of the teams started from the bottom, carrying tackle bags until they reached Camp Landbarris, where Phil was waiting. Everyone partaking in the fundraising over the age of 16 helped carry Phil up Snowdon until they reached the peak over 3 hours later. It was a really touching moment, said Mark. Sam got quite emotional at the top and thanked everyone, telling them what it meant to him and his dad. I know Phil is not a very emotional guy, but I saw he had a moment looking out from the peak. As well as helping Phil check off a bucket list item, the GoFundMe campaign succeeded in raising over $2,100 in the first week following the event. A special thanks to ProWeld in Carnarvon for fabricating the frame around the wheelchair, the club wrote on their Facebook page. Your skill and generosity made this possible. This challenge showed what our club is truly about: community, determination, and looking out for one another. Here's to many more. To everybody involved with the Bangor Rugby Club for making a man's dream come true of being able to summit the, what was the mountain called again? It had two names. The Snowdon Mountain. Gosh, many hands make light work. We all lift together. Cheers. Daku said, my Italian aunt used to tell me many hands make light work, and now that I'm an adult, I use it all the time. I do too. It's good advice. That's going to do it for tonight. I thank you all again for tuning in or catching the replay on the Knicks News YouTube page. Again, we're live every Sunday, and our next episode is going to be on August 24th. We encourage participation, so if you feel inclined, by all means, you can send us messages. You can post suggestions for news brews, shout-outs, news quotes, and especially good news articles that we can show on future episodes. If you send a bunch of articles, try to spread them out across our 4 categories, which again were science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice articles we like to end on. You can message us on Facebook or Instagram, or you can email us at somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. Links are in the description. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe on our content across Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok to get good news and joy out into all of the algorithms. Please know SEO improvement, advertisements. We're not looking into that. Y'all have done so much for Knicks News. Hey, Nate. Better late than never, bud. No worries. Again, I want to thank you all from that shout out we had where, again, y'all made this possible. Our YouTube page has hit 100 subscribers, which is a milestone. I didn't think we would hit this soon, and I can't thank you all enough. Seriously, it really does touch my heart to see everybody chipping in and spreading the good news and Knicks news around. So thank you all very much. Thank you all again. I love you. Have a great night, and I will play us out.